This isn't just a door, it's a boundary millions have risked everything to cross. Some believe it leads to miracles, others to secrets the world was never meant to know. But what if the most mysterious door of all is still hiding something, right now? Some doors do more than divide one space from another. They dare you to rethink everything you know about belief, power, and the thin line between myth and history. Whether you're entering a childhood home, a courthouse, or a place of worship, there's a moment when a simple threshold can feel almost electric, heavy with meaning and expectation. It's more than a doorway. It's an invitation, a challenge, sometimes even a warning. Across continents and centuries, cultures have guarded certain entrances not just with locks and keys, but with ritual, legend, and sometimes fierce secrecy. These are holy doors, portals that demand more than a casual glance, gateways that have changed lives, shaped entire communities, and even altered the course of nations. But what is it about these doors that commands such devotion, or even fear? Why would a single entrance become the destination for millions, or spark centuries of suspicion? If you think you know the world's most mysterious door, wait until you discover the secret that's been quietly guarded for nearly 800 years. By the end, you might never see an ordinary door the same way again. And the oldest, strangest secret? It's been hiding in plain sight for centuries. Stay to the end for a story of faith, rivalry, and a door that still shapes history. Before we step through history's most mysterious doors, take a moment to subscribe and join our community of curious minds. Here at Armchair Archaeology, every episode is a new threshold, one you won't want to miss. Long before glass cathedrals and bronze gates, our ancestors understood that some boundaries were charged with possibility. In ancient villages, stepping over a threshold could mean entering safety, confronting the unknown, or asking for permission from the spirits believed to guard the door. The very concept of a sacred entrance is as old as humanity itself. Across deserts, jungles, and mountains, evidence of special doorways appears again and again. Visualize this. Dawn breaks. Ancient villagers hesitate at the first beams of sunlight falling through a rough stone opening. In that moment, a doorway becomes destiny. In ancient Egypt, grand pylons, those towering gateways of temples, weren't just impressive architecture. They were designed to represent the first rays of sunlight breaking through darkness, inviting worshippers to reenact the birth of the world every time they crossed inside. In Babylon, the Ishtar gate shimmered with blue tiles and guardian beasts, turning a city's entrance into a cosmic crossing, where the line between mortal and divine seemed blurred. Across the ocean, Olmec builders in Mesoamerica shaped colossal mouth doorways, believed to be literal entrances to the underworld. Passing through wasn't just a matter of ritual, it was a step into the unknown, reserved for the boldest priests and rulers. You can still feel echoes of these ancient thresholds today. Think of walking into a new school, starting a new job, or even crossing the stage at graduation. Just as our ancestors designed entrances to mark a moment of change, we still feel the power of a doorway at life's turning points. And in Neolithic Malta, at the Menidra temples, ancient builders set their doorways so precisely that on the solstice, a shaft of sunlight would pour through, illuminating the inner sanctuary in gold. These doors didn't just connect rooms, they connected worlds, reminding everyone who crossed that a threshold, however simple, could be a bridge between the ordinary and the extraordinary.
As civilizations flourished, their holy entrances became even more ambitious. Ancient architects understood that the act of crossing into a temple or through a city gate was never just about getting from one place to another. It was about stepping into a different reality. These gates of the gods became grand declarations. Beyond this line, the ordinary rules of life no longer applied. In Mesopotamia, the Ishtar gate rose from the city walls, covered in shimmering blue tiles and guardian beasts, lions, dragons, and bulls, each one believed to offer protection and signal divine favor. For those entering Babylon, passing beneath these arches meant more than safety. It meant entering a world where the gods might walk among mortals. Egyptian temple pylons went even further. Designed to echo the mountains from creation myths, these monumental gateways were painted with images of pharaohs and deities. Every step through their shadows invited worshippers to relive the moment of cosmic order emerging from chaos, as if each entrance was a stage set for the world's oldest ritual. If you had to cross this line, knowing it meant leaving the ordinary world behind, would you have the courage? Tell me in the comments, what's the most intimidating doorway you've ever crossed? The Greeks offered yet another twist. At Delphi, the Temple of Apollo drew pilgrims from every corner of the Mediterranean. The entrance was said to lead straight to the Omphalos, the stone considered the navel of the world, where earth and heavens met. During festival days, legend had it that the air inside would turn charged and breathless, and that crossing the temple's threshold could bring you so close to the divine that your destiny might change forever. Across these ancient cultures, holy doors weren't just boundaries, they were invitations to possibility. Whether in myth or in stone, each one was designed to make the crossing unforgettable, a moment filled with anticipation, hope, and the sense that the next step could alter everything. Across continents, these gates taught us that a doorway isn't just a line on the ground, it's a leap between worlds. By the way, if you find yourself drawn to these hidden layers of history, mysteries carved in stone, ancient rituals, and the secrets behind sacred spaces, there's even more to explore. Our ebook, Secrets of the Ancient World, Mysteries, Technologies, and Lost Civilizations, dives deeper into stories just like these. If you're hungry for more ancient enigmas, you'll find the link in the pinned comment. As Christianity spread across the Roman world, the idea of a sacred door was transformed. No longer just the gateway to a temple, the entrance to a church became a symbol of leaving behind an old life and stepping into a new community shaped by hope and forgiveness. Early Christians saw every threshold as more than just a physical divide. It marked a spiritual journey that began, quite literally, at the door. Before I reveal what was carved into these ancient doors, take a guess. What symbols would you have chosen to mark a secret place of hope or danger? Visitors to early basilicas would have seen doorways carved with secret symbols, vines, fish, shepherds, subtle codes that marked the passage from the perils of the outside world into a place of refuge and shared faith. Historians call these symbols iconography, visual language that let believers spot their community even when words weren't safe. Even now, there's a familiar hush in stepping from a noisy street into the cool quiet of a sanctuary. Churches often had more than one entrance. The grand central door was a declaration, Christ as the gateway to salvation. Side doors sometimes served those preparing for baptism, quietly signaling that entry into the heart of the community was a gradual process, a passage that had to be earned step by step. Sometimes, the design itself shaped the experience. Certain early churches featured entrances built intentionally low or narrow, compelling every visitor, regardless of rank, to stoop or bow before crossing the threshold. This wasn't just a quirk of construction. It was a physical reminder that before the sacred, all people stand equal. Imagine a wealthy merchant or Roman official pausing, forced by stone and tradition to humble themselves before stepping inside. Centuries later, these choices still linger in the stones. The experience of passing through such a threshold, where a simple act reveals something deeper, reminds us that even today, a doorway can be both a boundary and an invitation, carrying meaning long after the world outside has changed.
In Catholic tradition, few ceremonies capture the imagination like the opening of the Holy Door during a Jubilee year. In Rome, 4 ancient basilicas each have a special entrance, massive bronze or gilded doors usually sealed from within by a wall of bricks. For years at a time, these doors are simply part of the scenery, unnoticed by most visitors. But when the Pope proclaims a Jubilee, a time of renewal and forgiveness, a dramatic transformation begins. Picture yourself among the crowd. After years of waiting, a single sound echoes through the basilica, What do you think it would feel like to witness a wall falling away to reveal a door to forgiveness? The ritual starts with the Pope striking the sealed entrance 3 times with a ceremonial hammer. This act, echoing centuries of tradition, is meant to announce that the barrier between the faithful and the promise of grace is about to fall. As the bricks are carefully removed, the air grows thick with anticipation, not only among clergy, but in the crowds of pilgrims gathered from around the world. The sense of drama is so intense, some people say they remember the exact scent of incense and stone decades later. When the holy door finally swings open, the moment is alive with possibility. Pilgrims come carrying hopes, burdens, and prayers, seeking the symbolic passage from sin to forgiveness. Would you step through, knowing legends say lives could be changed forever, or even miracles could happen? The journey through the door isn't reserved for high-ranking church officials or dignitaries. Sometimes, an ordinary pilgrim is chosen from the crowd to be the very first to walk through, a fleeting reminder that the chance for renewal belongs to everyone, regardless of status or origin. The door itself is more than a boundary. It's a canvas of faith. Rich reliefs and scenes from Scripture turn the surface into a visual pilgrimage. Even the dust and bricks removed during the ceremony are collected as relics, small fragments of a once-in-a-generation event. Some families even keep these bricks as heirlooms, reminders of a pilgrimage that changed their family's story. For Catholics and many others, the Holy Door stands as a living symbol, an invitation to step into mercy, hope, and the enduring rhythm of tradition and change. For countless pilgrims, crossing a holy door is far more than a ritual. It's a deeply personal act, shaped by stories of longing, hope, and second chances. People journey from distant places, sometimes waiting for hours or even days, drawn by the belief that passing through this ancient threshold might bring forgiveness or renewal. The air just beyond the entrance can feel charged, thick with silent prayers and the quiet shuffling of feet on worn stone. Throughout the centuries, moments of transformation at these doors have become their legend. During the Jubilee of 2000, witnesses recall an elderly man who arrived at St. Peter's Basilica struggling with every step. With gentle help from strangers, he made it through the holy door, breaking down in tears near the altar as the weight of his burdens seemed to lift, if only for a moment. Such stories ripple outward, passed from person to person, giving courage to the next generation of seekers. Have you ever crossed a doorway that changed you? Maybe a graduation, a hospital, a new home? Let us know in the comments. And if these hidden histories mean something to you, consider tapping Super Thanks. It helps us keep exploring the past, one threshold at a time. But the doors are not reserved for saints or scholars. Their promise extends to all. In some Jubilee years, even prisoners, granted freedom and acts of mercy, chose the holy door as the first threshold they crossed on re-entering society. Their passage a living metaphor for release and redemption. Families, strangers, and entire communities have gathered at these portals, united by the hope that a single crossing can change everything. The idea is as old as humanity. Sometimes a single step forward is the beginning of a whole new life. Though centuries have passed, the essence remains. The holy door is never just an object, but a gathering place for hopes and stories. Each footstep echoes with the possibility that something new can begin, and that forgiveness, in all its forms, is always within reach for those willing to step forward. It's incredible how a single doorway can carry centuries of hope, legend, and sometimes rivalry. And if the hidden dramas behind these thresholds fascinate you, don't miss our ebook, Secrets of the Ancient World. Inside, you'll discover tales of lost temples, forbidden passages, and the technologies ancient builders used to shape the world. Curious? Check the pinned comment for the link. Step into an Orthodox Christian church, and the concept of the holy door takes on a striking new form. Instead of a single entrance, you'll find the iconostasis, a screen covered with gilded icons separating the altar from the main space. At its center are the royal doors, beautifully decorated and set apart for a special purpose. During services, these doors are opened and closed with ceremony, marking the most important moments of worship. But here's what surprises many. Only priests and deacons are allowed to pass through. Even the mightiest emperors or kings must wait outside, their authority paused at the threshold, a silent lesson in humility and respect for the sacred. The opening and closing of these doors isn't just stagecraft. It signals moments when, according to tradition, heaven and earth are especially close. Congregations watch as light spills through the royal doors, unveiling the mysteries of the altar and reinforcing the sense that this crossing is a rare privilege. The power of sacred entrances extends far beyond Byzantium. In Ethiopia, ancient Christian churches are carved from solid rock, their doorways hidden for centuries by rugged terrain and legend. Locals tell stories of doors that can only be opened by angels, emphasizing the idea that some thresholds protect mysteries too deep for ordinary hands. These legends aren't just stories. They shape how entire villages treat a simple door, with awe, sometimes even with fear. From the gilded doors of Russia to the stone portals of Africa, the message is clear. In every culture, the act of crossing a holy threshold is carefully choreographed. The rules and stories may differ, but the experience, awe, humility, anticipation remains universal. The next time you find yourself before a closed door, consider what it means to wait, to watch, and to wonder what might be revealed on the other side. Across India, temple entrances are designed not just for grandeur, but for meaning. The Gopuram, towering, intricate gateway towers, rise above southern temples, their surface is alive with carvings of gods, demons, and mythical beasts. In the north, doorways may be smaller but just as significant, guarded by symbolic figures and inscribed with sacred mantras. For Hindu worshippers, passing through a temple door is always a ritual, a movement from the bustling world into a space where the divine feels close. Before crossing the threshold, devotees might ring a bell, touch a carved image, or pause to remove their shoes. These gestures purify body and mind, serving as a quiet preparation for what lies within. Temple doors themselves are often raised slightly above ground level, compelling visitors to step up, a subtle reminder that the journey toward the sacred requires both effort and intention. But some entrances go even further, linking the earthly to the cosmic. At the Brihadishwara temple, built over 1,000 years ago, the main doorway is aligned so precisely that, on certain festival days, the rising sun pours through, lighting up the innermost shrine with gold. For worshippers gathered in the dimness, this fleeting burst of sunlight is more than beautiful. It feels like a blessing, as if the universe itself is participating in the ritual. These architectural wonders serve more than tradition. They turn every entrance into a passage of transformation, one that connects past and present, myth and daily life. Even in the busiest modern cities, the moment of crossing into a temple remains a powerful reminder that thresholds, when respected, have the power to change not just what we see, but how we see it.
In Buddhism, the act of passing through a doorway is rarely just a step forward. It's a quiet meditation on the journey to enlightenment. Temple entrances are often understated. A simple wooden gate at the entrance to a monastery, or a series of arches marking the path up a sacred mountain. Yet each portal is layered with meaning, inviting visitors to pause, reflect, and let go of daily distractions. Pilgrims approaching a Buddhist temple might first circle the grounds clockwise, moving in harmony with the universe. The gates themselves are often adorned with sacred symbols, a lotus blossom for purity, a lion for courage, or the 8-spoked Dharma wheel, which reminds all who pass beneath it that spiritual progress requires attention and intention at every step. In many traditions, before entering, it is customary to bow, to join one's hands, or even to crawl through a low entrance. These physical acts of humility echoed the core teaching that wisdom begins with letting go of pride and the burdens of ego. But the relationship between entrance and transformation finds breathtaking form in Japan. At Itsukushima Shrine, a towering red torii gate rises dramatically from the sea, appearing to float on the water at high tide. For centuries, pilgrims have arrived by boat, passing through the gate as if entering a realm suspended between earth and sky. The first glimpse of the shrine, framed by water and wood, becomes in itself a kind of silent prayer.
nature, architecture, and ritual converging in a moment of awe. Across Buddhist cultures, the design of each portal quietly reinforces the tradition's deepest lesson. Enlightenment isn't a single destination, but a journey marked by many crossings. Whether grand or humble, every threshold is an invitation to begin again, if only for a few steps. In Islam, the simple act of crossing a threshold is woven with intention and respect. Before entering a mosque, worshippers pause to remove their shoes and often perform a ritual washing, a gesture that prepares both body and mind for prayer. The mosque's entrance, whether plain or richly ornamented, marks a transition from the everyday world into a place dedicated entirely to reflection and worship. Mosque doors themselves are often masterpieces of craftsmanship, engraved with intricate geometric patterns, flowing calligraphy, or delicate woodwork that speaks of centuries of devotion. Many entrances are aligned to draw the eye toward the mihrab, a beautifully decorated prayer niche inside that always points the way to Mecca, Islam's holiest city. In grand mosques, this alignment guides worshippers from the threshold directly to the holiest direction, ensuring that each step through the door is also a step towards spiritual focus. Yet, some doors have a significance that goes far beyond architecture. At the heart of Mecca, the Kaaba, the most sacred site in Islam, is adorned with massive golden doors. For most pilgrims, simply glimpsing these doors during the Hajj pilgrimage is the moment of a lifetime. Only a tiny handful are ever allowed to pass through them, and the rare opening of the Kaaba's door is an event witnessed by few, steeped in secrecy and awe. That golden threshold becomes a symbol of both the longing to draw closer to the divine and the humility required to stand before it. In every mosque, whether ancient or new, the act of crossing the threshold is more than entry. It is a reminder of the journey from the distractions of daily life towards peace, clarity, and a sense of belonging within a timeless tradition.
And if you thought holy doors belonged only to the past, get ready. Modern artists, architects, and even filmmakers are still obsessed with the secrets these thresholds hold. The story of holy doors doesn't end in ancient temples or old cathedrals. It lives on, shaping art, design, and imagination in surprising ways. Today, thresholds remain powerful symbols, instantly recognized in films, books, and architecture as gateways to transformation or the unknown. From the massive doors of grand museums to the secret passages of favorite childhood stories, the act of crossing from one side to another still holds a unique magic. Even today, a closet door can feel like the start of an adventure if you've read Narnia or Harry Potter. Contemporary artists often use doors as both subject and metaphor, creating sculptures that stand open in city parks or galleries. These structures invite people to step through and briefly leave behind the ordinary, a quiet nudge to imagine what waits beyond. In fiction, doors signal adventure. C.S. Lewis's wardrobe or the hidden platform in Harry Potter are not just plot devices, but echoes of a much older human longing for mystery, change, and discovery. Modern architects have carried the tradition further, designing living doors whose surfaces shift with sunlight, shadow, or even the presence of visitors. Some chapels and museums now feature entrances that transform throughout the day, so each arrival becomes a unique experience. Entering through one of these ever-changing portals can feel like participating in a performance, a personal ritual that recalls the solstice-lit doors of Malta or the golden-lit shrines of India. What all these examples share is a deep, often unspoken understanding. Doors are more than barriers. They are invitations, sometimes to the sacred, sometimes to adventure, and sometimes to as simple as a new perspective. Across centuries and civilizations, the idea of the holy door endures, reminding us that every threshold, real or imagined, is a chance to change, to hope, and to step into the unknown. Across centuries and civilizations, holy doors have guided people through moments of hope, humility, and transformation. From sunlit temples in Malta to the floating gates of Japan, these thresholds have shaped the ways we mark change and pursue meaning, inviting us to pause before stepping into the unknown. But among all these stories, perhaps the most astonishing secret has been hiding in plain sight, one that bridges cultures, faiths, and even old rivalries. So, have you guessed which door changed history? Here's the reveal I promised at the start. In Jerusalem, at the heart of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, Christianity's holiest shrine, a massive, weathered wooden door has been opened and closed each day for centuries. Yet what most visitors never realize is that the keys to this sacred entrance have been entrusted not to priests or bishops, but to two Muslim families. For over 800 years, these families have kept the peace between rival Christian groups by taking on the role of guardians. Their quiet trust, across centuries of conflict, shows that sometimes the people outside of faith can become its most devoted protectors. Each morning and evening, they quietly unlock and relock the door, their simple gestures symbolizing a remarkable history of trust and cooperation. So, next time you encounter an ordinary door, at home, in a city, or in a place of worship, pause for a heartbeat. What stories might have unfolded there? What acts of courage, forgiveness, or community were witnessed, perhaps without a single word spoken? Have you ever crossed a threshold that changed your life even in a small way? Share your story in the comments. I read every single one. If this journey through hidden doors intrigued you, hit subscribe and join our next exploration. Here at Armchair Archaeology, every door is a new discovery. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and remember, sometimes the greatest secrets are right at your feet.